How's it going, everybody? Recently, we got a Pokemon Presents, so I wanted to do a couple videos going over some of the major announcements and things showed off in that presentation. And so for this video, we're going to focus on Pokemon Champions and look at the website and the press release here. And then first, I just want to rewatch the trailer, and then we'll see exactly what's going on here. I'll watch it a little quicker just so we can get through it and we can see kind of how we can kind of analyze it more. But yeah, the trailer's cool, but they show off some nice stuff, we get to see more about how the game's gonna work. But yeah, we can see some cool actual in-game footage, which is nice for the first time.
Pokemon Champions.
But yeah, overall I'm excited for this game.
In this title, you can enjoy the battle.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the floor in this arena right here they're showing, but it's a little busy, a little much, but
you can invite your
still cool looking.
Pokemon partners to join the action by linking with Pokemon Home, or you can find new partners to battle alongside you right away from
yeah,
Pokemon
that's
Champions.
Like rental Pokemon kind of, or recruited Pokemon as they're calling it here.
Pokemon to your team to battle alongside you. It's up to you which Pokemon to choose. Recruit Pokemon you're interested in and form a team.
And use VP as like currency in the game to do all these things. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I'm like, so far I'm liking what I see. The interface is cool, the UI is nice and clean. Ooh. Yeah.
Finally, we'd like to introduce you to a new way to raise Pokemon.
Well, here's the most important part here. The training, yes.
Pokemon Champions offers ways to make raising your Pokemon
so yeah, you can modify the stats and natures and all that stuff here, which is really cool.
Then train your Pokemon to make the most of them. Recruit and train to enjoy Pokemon battling. Bringing Pokemon battles to everyone. Pokemon Champions. Plan to release in 2026.
That's right. That's the one disappointing thing. A lot of people are hoping, me included, hoping it would be like this year. Some were even saying it could have been shadow dropped during this presentation, but that did not happen. All right, so let's just scrub through here. We see our trainer character. I like the look of her. Okay, let's scrub through, get to the first little piece of important information that I thought was interesting. Here we go. Now, one new thing you shall notice is that up here, the opponent's HP bar, you see the actual percent of health they have left, which is really cool, a nice little addition. Because previously, you just have to go off of how full the bar looks, and it's not always exact. Now you know the exact percent a move did, which is pretty nice, and so it's a good way to tell you kind of how much health is left or how much health they lost, without having to reveal too much information about the opponent, like what their actual hit point numbers are. That might be too much data, helping you learn what their EV spread or whatever is. But here you just see the percent. So if you do like 20% damage, you can easily tell that, which I think is a nice addition that they probably should have did a long time ago. So you get some Pokemon to choose from and can then fully recruit them, or you'll see here on the screen here in a second. Once you get into the recruitment thing here, yeah, you can do a trial recruitment, which is kind of nice. So if you just want to test the Pokemon out, do like a proper little rental for 7 days, or permanently recruit them for 1,000 VP. And I don't know if different Pokemon will have different costs. Like, is Gardevoir worth more than like a Pikachu, for example? I don't know. We'll find that out later, or when we actually play, probably. But yeah, here just looks like a pretty standard screen for picking your team and showing the stats and moves and abilities. And up here you see press the X button to change your held items. So held items are a thing here. You don't see it anywhere over here listed what their held item might be, but obviously they're a thing. Says the menu up there says it. So they'll probably just have a database of like every held item. You can just choose what you want and then stick it on the Pokemon. Probably the best way to do it. And the battles, you choose your Pokemon for the battle. Pretty nice. Yep. Okay. Here we go. Oh, here's another thing here in a second. But yeah, they added some new wording for different types of effectiveness. So now Moonblast, since it's a 4 times effective move against Hydreigon, it's called extremely effective. So any 4 times move is extremely effective, where the 2 times effective moves are still super effective. Then you has no effect, and not very effective for like Shadow Ball there. But yeah, I do think that's nice. So now if you have 2 moves that are both really good, like Icy Wind and Moonblast, you can now see which one's better. Before they both would have just said super effective. But now you can tell which one is the even more effective one with the extremely effective wording. So I really like that. That's nice. But here's another word change that they added in, her little extra verbiage. Now, for a move that is like 2 or just 4 times ineffective, you have the mostly ineffective descriptor, which pretty much saying that they are not going to do much. So that is nice. And we got a battle here, double battle. Yep, you see you see the standard 10-minute timer over there for the match. All right, pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I'm excited for this game. Fun little. Yeah, here's the best part. All right, the part that everybody is super excited for, the training section, where now you can take your stat points and your natures and all that, and just modify it all with gauges and graphs and whatever. So they kind of changed up the way the stat points are displayed here and work a little bit. Yeah, because in normal games you would have all the different EVs you can then distribute between your different stats, but now they kind of simplified it. Instead, they just say here are your stat points you can distribute, and you just add them on to the different stats. You don't need to be oh, hey, here's how many EVs it takes to increase one stat point. They do that in the background, which I think is clever. So instead of making you kind of figure out, okay, I want to give 128 EVs to this stat to raise it by this much or what, you're just giving the stat points directly here, and you get 66 total stat points to distribute across all the stats. I guess I was hearing some people talk that the way this is all set up, it actually gives you 1 extra stat point than what you used to be able to have with the EV system. So, because normally you would just be able to distribute 65 points around with the old system, but now they gave you 66, so there's 1 extra. You can have fun, stick that wherever you want. But for the most part, yeah, it's a nice little way to simplify it for people, so it's not overwhelming. Just here are your stat points. You want to put 32 or even just 2 stat points, whatever. Yeah, just stick them where you want to stick them. So I think that's a little bit of an easier way to explain it and go about it. So then you're well, your speed is now 132 because you added on 32 stat points. It's a whole, it's a little bit more simplified.
Teach your Pokemon moves that interest you.
And then you can pick what moves you want, which is nice.
Train your Pokemon to make the most.
And all this costs to VP, of course. So it looks like to raise stats, you need to give VP, but to lower it, I don't think you do from what I've seen. And then switching out moves costs 100. And then you can switch your ability out and your nature and all that good stuff. And I like that screen for the natures. It's kind of very, very nice to explain what each one does. You attack up to attack down for serious, and so basically neutral. And then the special attack up, attack down, modest right there. So that nice little grid to kind of show you exactly what each one does. Once again, I think this is meant to kind of get people into VGC that don't normally do competitive and have never really dove into it. So they kind of simplify a lot of these things or explain it really well or show it in nice graphs. So it's kind of, because people like me or maybe even you watching this video may know what the modest nature does. But some people who hop into this for the first time, maybe they don't know. So just the way they show it here is nice to explain it, which I like. And it costs 200 to switch to nature there. Yeah, 400 for your ability. And then for this whole setup to this person to here to show it off, it costs 764 VP. And then you can apply the changes. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm excited, Looks really sick. 2026, I wish it was sooner. But, alright, so I just want to read through the press release real fast. And Pokemon Champions trainers can recruit Pokemon to join their teams and battle other trainers. Trial recruitment allows Pokemon to join the player's team for a limited time, letting them try the Pokemon and battle straight away and test strategies. Permanent recruitment uses victory points, VP, which are gained from various methods such as ranked battles, to add Pokemon to a player's team permanently. Players can also use VP to train Pokemon according to their own preference, including altering their stats and abilities. There are 3 different battle modes. Ranked, casual, and private. So ranked, play around trainers from around the world with a whole ladder, all that fun stuff. Casual, a little more low key. You can still play with people from around the world, but there's not as much of a risk to lose or gain any, rankings. And then private battles just between friends and family, in a little room you can set up. And then it's slated for a 2026 release on Switch 2, Switch, iOS, and Android. So that's nice. They mentioned Switch 2, which tells me that there'll probably be a Switch 2 edition of it or a patch that makes it look and run a little better on Switch 2. I hope. So that'd be kind of nice. Making it look all slick. So I'm excited for that. That's fun. Then we get the website we can just go through real quick. They just the same trailer, I'm sure. Got your protagonist. Yeah, some images we've already seen there. Okay, assemble your ideal team, expand your roster. You can bring your past partners into champions from home, which is nice. So if you already have Pokemon trained up, you can just import them right in. And then you can recruit Pokemon from within the game itself as well. Yep, using your trial or permanent, which we went over. And have a Pokemon join your team for a trial period. You can battle with it right away to test whether it will suit your strategy. You can use trial recruitment once a day without using victory points. No, also known as VP. All right, so that's kind of like a once a day thing. You could recruit some. Okay, that's cool. For permanent, yeah, you can then permanently add them to your team to always be able to use them. Now, yeah, tailor your team's skills in the training feature. Use VP to hone their attack defense and their stats, alter their abilities and moves, customize your team to match your battle style. But remember, you can't train Pokemon during their trial period, which that's one thing I guess to mention. So if you do a trial recruitment, you're not able to modify their stats like this. So I assume the trial Pokemon come with just like some kind of default stat spread that hopefully is like a decent spread for that species of Pokemon that would probably still be able to get you through some battles and be good enough to just test out the Pokemon. Maybe like some of the more popular builds for certain Pokemon will be what the trial kind of version gives you. And then if you decide to permanently recruit it, you can then get in there and actually modify things, That's nice. So I assume, I wonder if all the Pokemon come with like a default stat spread. So otherwise you would have to use your VP to train every single one you recruit. And that I think would be kind of weird. So hopefully something like a Gardevoir, for example, might come with special attack already maxed out with the stat points. And then you can lower that if you want and put those points somewhere else. And then that's what you have to use VP for. But the default spread is probably maybe the more common build for a Gardevoir, for example. That's how I'm assuming it's going to work. Yeah, you got your rank. You have 3 battle modes and 2 formats. I'm kind of hoping they add like more formats and modes over time. Like, it'd be cool if there's some cool formats in there where it's some kind of very like old school format that isn't around anymore. You can kind of just have some battles with. But let's see. Yeah, you're ranked. Yep. Standard stuff, casual. We already kind of talked about all these in private. Yep. And now power up with victory points. And this is the most important last sentence here. We'll read in a second. But yeah, victory points, VP, can be gained from ranked battles and other places in Pokemon Champions. You'll need VP to recruit and train Pokemon. But yeah, it's the and other places in Pokemon Champions that intrigues me. Like, sure, if you win or do well in ranked battles, you'll probably rank up a lot of points. So people who play this game a lot, you'll probably have just like points coming out the wazoo. That's points traditionally come from. But you'll seem to be able to earn it from other places. So I wonder if there'll be any kind of little extra challenges, or maybe even like Pokemon Stadium style, like cups, or you can compete in to just for fun to kind of earn points and do others, and to see if you can win, get to the end, or maybe a battle tower, which I hope, since Scarlet and Violet was missing the battle tower, it would be nice if this game came with a battle tower and you could just practice against like NPC opponents, AI controlled opponents, where you can just test out your teams and maybe earn some points along the way, just like a classic battle tower. That would be really sweet. But the most important sentence that proves this is not a pay-to-win game, which some people were worried about, is that it says VP cannot be directly purchased. So that's not to say there might not be battle passes or something in the game that it increases how much VP you get for certain things. But you're still not directly buying them, but you just are getting like a boost to how much you earn. So I could see them having that in there, but you can't just go to some kind of store and say, give me 10,000 VP for like $100 or whatever the exchange rate would be. So that's good. You can't just, buy it willy-nilly. Yeah, so keep battling and gaining VP to power up your team even more. So, because a lot of people were worried that maybe this would be a free-to-play game and you could then buy VP and it would be a whole, But I'm glad they're not doing it that way, because then that would make this game very pay-to-win. If you are somebody who just has money lying around and you could just throw it all into the game, and then you could just have all the best Pokemon, and it could be very unfair. And this game is supposed to be something that can get people that are a little more casual in terms of battling into it and kind of teaching them the ropes and help them learn how all this goes. So, but I'm overall very excited for this. And nothing too crazy on the website here we haven't seen already in terms of the other information. I like this artwork here, this imaging. It's really sick. But yeah, for the most part, we've covered a lot of little things that just try to show it off. Yeah, not much more really, but yeah, I do love it. Yeah, a lot of people are saying they would never do this. They'll never give us just like sliders to adjust stats. But here you go. Well, what do you see here? It's a slider just to distribute the stat points. So that's really cool. The one thing I am wondering about, what about IVs? Because these stat points are basically the equivalent of EVs. You're taking these stat points and distributing them as you want. Well, yeah, what about IVs? I don't see any place in here to change IVs. Originally, I thought the slider was IVs, and then maybe like these up and down arrows would be like the EVs or something to make. But no, I'm pretty sure that's not it. After watching this more and listening to other people talk, I think this up and down arrow probably just switches you between the stats. Like press the up arrow will take you to special defense, and then so on. And then the left to right arrow is what then just distributes stat points. So I don't see any evidence of IVs here, and it's possible they got rid of IVs for this game, and they've kind of revamped the way it all works. Maybe all Pokemon have max IVs under the hood by default, and then you can just take these extra stat points and distribute them as you want. Yeah, so that would make kind of sense, I suppose. So from what I've seen, some people doing some of the calculations on what these stats are here based on, a Gardevoir at this level, whatever. Yeah, like it would seem like the IVs are maxed out for each stat, which is kind of a bummer because there are certain Pokemon you kind of want to have a 0 IV attack stat on, maybe. Just so, like, if they hurt themselves in confusion, for example, it doesn't do as much. But from what I see here, and from what we've seen, maybe there's like an IV system under the hood that you can go to some other menu to tweak. But I could see them getting rid of IVs. That's the whole idea of an IV is like Pokemon's built in, like how good they are, like from default, from just how they were born, basically. So, and I can see them maybe not having an easy way to just change that. But outside of like hyper training, which would just max one out. So maybe they chose to make all IVs perfect by default, and then you just to have these extra stat points you can distribute, and then that's how all Pokemon are. Which I guess is fine because if all Pokemon have perfect IVs, it makes them all even pretty much across the board. So there's nobody has any one advantage over another since IVs are just all perfect. Yeah, so I guess it simplifies it if you just get rid of the whole IV system, and now here you have 66 stat points, and you just put those where you want them to be, and that's how you train your Pokemon. How you basically EV train them, and IVs are just we don't care anymore about those, I guess, maybe in this game, because otherwise I would expect there to be like some kind of IV menu on the screen where you could like hit that, but I haven't seen IVs mentioned anywhere in any of these things. Even on this screen here, there's no mention of IVs. You just see the stats and how many points have been given to each one. You don't want to overwhelm people with a bunch of extra numbers, so I get it. So yeah, so that's how it seems to be for the time being, but we'll know better. Once the game comes out, we all play it, and maybe there'll be more trailers in the future. Which I don't even know what other trailers they could give us that would show us anything new. Because the game is pretty basic. This seems like this is all that you need to show, that you can train the Pokemon like this, you can recruit them. You got the different battle modes. I'm not sure what else they could reveal, unless there is some hidden single player mode that we just don't know about yet. And that could be something that like a future trailer gives us. Like, oh, by the way, there's like a whole battle tower and whatever, So I could see them doing a trailer like towards the end of the year or early next year that like maybe Pokemon Day, either the game will be out by then or out right at that point in time, or they'll be still promoting it. But I predict it might be out for Pokemon Day, maybe, give or take. Hopefully. Because a lot of people are saying that this is going to be the new VGC, game to play in the competitive tournaments. So I think they got to release it soon if you want to make that happen. Otherwise, because we've been on Scarlet Violet for so long now, it's about time to have a new game to play in. So and this should be that game, hopefully, to kind of tide people over until maybe Gen 10 comes out, or even if after Gen 10 comes out, maybe this will just be the game people would still use for competitive, and that's the way it all goes. Maybe competitive will be separated from the main series, and this is just the game now, which I think would be smart and I don't know. It depends how you look at it. But we will see. Only the future knows. But overall, I am excited for this game. I'm not a huge VGC player. I suck at it pretty hard. So, but this game they'll make it a little easier to just come in here, build a team, have some fun, practice a little bit. See what I can do. Try different combinations of things, and it's way quicker and easier than having to from scratch train a Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, for example. If you can just come in here and just pick their numbers and be done with it, and then try some stuff out. So I'm excited to play around with it. But overall, I think that about wraps things up for this video. And that is pretty much all the little secrets and little piece of information that interested me, at least, in this recent trailer, and from on the website and stuff. But everybody, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. My next video, we'll be going over the Pokemon Legends EA information and that trailer. Trying to tear that apart a little bit and just go through it and see if there's anything interesting we can glean. We got a new Mega Evolution announced, so that's all cool. So we'll kind of look at that. But everybody, I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.